Hi guys, what's happening? Ashley Dash here, your favorite career branding expert. Super excited to be here as always to help my brilliant, beautiful, amazing business professionals really increase your confidence, get unstuck, and make boss money at work. So tonight I want to talk about, is it time to move on? And when I talk about moving on, I'm talking about moving on from work, right? So there's lots of things that we do or a lot of things that happen to us that kind of let us know that it's time to move on from work. But if you're anything like me, you're super ambitious, you're really smart, really like into like paying attention to like obvious things. Sometimes we don't see the not so obvious things that are holding us back in careers and keeping us in places that we no longer should be, right? So as you jump on, say, hey, Ashley, let me know that you're here. Or if you're watching the replay, say, hey, Ashley, I'm watching the replay to let me know that you've been here, okay? So there's there's actually lots of ways to know that it's time to move on. And most of us kind of know if it's time to move on in the pit of our stomachs, but we tend to ignore that. So I'm going to focus on three concrete ways that you can tell that, you know what, it's probably time for me to move on to the next step in my job, in my career, and really to move on to greener pastures, for lack of a better word, okay? So the very first way that you know that it's time to move on is when your salary does not match your experience, okay? And what that means is that you are not being paid your worth. Now, a couple things really kind of come into play with this, but the two major things are, number one, you may be scared to ask for what you know that you deserve because you feel like it's going to leave you with nothing, right? And that's a really valid fear, and it can keep you in jobs way past their expiration date, right? But if you have the experience, you have the education, you have the certification, you have the confidence and know how to get things done, then you deserve to be compensated for that. So when it's time, it's definitely time to move on when your money doesn't match your experience, okay? Like that money math needs to make sense in that particular area, okay? Another reason it can be difficult for us to move on is because we don't actually know how much our worth is in terms of dollar and cents. Now, again, when I'm talking about worth, I'm not talking about intrinsic worth. Of course, you're priceless, but I'm talking about your career value, your experience, your education, your skills. How much does all that mean and look like in terms of dollar and cents? And a lot of times we don't actually know that number, so it makes it difficult for us to move on because we don't know what our benchmark is, and we don't know what we should move on to, right? So we definitely need to find that information. And if you're one of my private clients, you get all of my private clients, we actually have a compensation report that I work with them one-on-one. It's like 10 to 13 pages, and we actually go through the compensation report page by page, line by line, so we really understand. So I really help them understand how all this fits together so they really can move forward in their career, right? So the very first way you know it's time to move on is, number one, that your salary does not match your experience. And that's pretty simple to do and know if you know your value. If you don't, you should definitely feel free to reach out to me. We can have a conversation about, salaries. If you haven't done if you haven't gotten a compensation report, you should definitely, take a look at those. There's some that are offered on the internet. Some are better than others, of course, but you definitely should know your value in terms of skills and experience at work, okay? The second way you know it's time to move on in your career is when you hate your alarm clock, right? Now, I'm not talking about like the everyday, like, I'm tired and I'm gonna get up and go to work. I'm talking about when you hate your alarm clock. I'm talking about not just for like a day or a couple weeks because you had a really hard project, but I'm talking about for years, like over time, like you hate your alarm clock, right? Like you can see the feeling, right? There have been times in my career where I hated going to work. It was just so stressful. Like it was just so much. Like I don't even have the words to describe what it felt like to go be at work. I remember having what I call the Sunday night blues. And that is when around, around on Sunday evenings, around I'll say 6 and 8 o'clock, when your body naturally kind of just like starts getting a little weird and nervous energy because you are mentally preparing, your body is mentally preparing to go into work on Monday, okay? Just FYI, that is not normal, that is not natural, and that is not a great place to be, okay? So if you hate your alarm clock and it's been years, right? Then it's really good indication that it's probably time to move on. Now, if you have a family to support, you have bills and things like that, sometimes we have to do things that we don't want to do. I totally get that. That makes sense, right? Sometimes you just got to suck it up and go through. But we shouldn't have to do that for years, okay? Like for a couple months, if you're in a transitional place, totally get it. 6 months to a year where you have to, pull it together, get things done, I get it. But if you're there for more than I'll say 1.5 years, 2, 3, 4, 5 years, you're still in the same place, you're still struggling to get up in the morning, you hate everything, you hate your alarm clock, you get the Sunday night blues, it's time to move on to better, greener pastures, right? It's time, okay? So if no one has told you, here's your sign. It is time, okay? And then the third reason and the third way that it's time to move on from work is when you don't find joy in anything at work. When I say anything, I mean nothing. I mean you bona fide hate your job. Not you hate a portion of your job, or maybe you don't just like your boss, maybe your coworkers are irritating sometimes. No, I mean you go into work and you feel like it is a bona fide hellhole, okay? It's time to move on, okay? You spend most of us as people, whether you're an entrepreneur or you're an employee, right? Either way, you spend a majority of your time at work, preparing for work, thinking about work, de-stressing from work. You should not hate the majority of your life, right? Because that's what most of us are doing, right? We are working. So if you hate everything about work, I mean everything, there's no joy. Like you hate the coffee maker, the paper jam, the copy machine is stupid. Like the parking is the tree that is in your parking spot. The shadow was weird. Like if you are, and we all know these people, right? Because we go to work and we're like, dang, that person is miserable. Have you ever gone to like McDonald's, not Chick-fil-A, right? That's God's house, right? Let's say you go to McDonald's and you have a person that's taking your order, and clearly you can feel like this person does not want to be here. We've all experienced that, right? We clearly know it's time for them to move on. If they don't want a job, they should go somewhere else. All of us have those thoughts about other people, but we don't think about that in terms of ourselves, okay? So when you hate everything about your job, when there is no joy in anything at work, like you can't find one small moment to be excited or happy or proud, then it is time to move on, okay? Now, if you have one of those areas, you kind of have to assess where you are. I say, like, if any of those things apply to you, it's totally time to go, right? If all three of them apply, it's definitely time to move, right? But the issue that most of us have, and that I personally have had, is that, okay, Ashley, like I'm talking to my younger self, right? Like, Ashley, I know I'm not getting paid what I'm worth, right? I'm not exactly excited to be here, but it's cool enough until it gets to a point where it's not, where I hate everyone here. I don't like this place and it's ridiculous and I cannot wait to leave, right? Most of us get to this point, but then we don't know what to do, or we let fear hold us back, right? And that sucks because I've been there, but it's totally doable. It's totally option for you to move on, right? You just have to have the right resources, people, and I won't say strategies in your life. Thankfully, I've had some really cool, amazing mentors. I've had some people that have invested in my life. I had some people that I would, to be honest, complain to, right? And there's like, actually get your life together, right? So I had the motivation to go and do really cool, amazing things. But sometimes we get stuck, right? We know we need to do something different, but we don't know how to do something different because this is all we've done. Like, this is all we've known. So how do you get unstuck, right? And that's what I'm here for. I am, like I said, Ashley Dash, your career branding expert. And I help people actually get unstuck at work. I help you figure out what the next step could be, what it looks like, right? Because here's my thing. My job is to get you what you want and to create a plan of action so that you can go forth in a life that you have, right? So if you want to be an astronaut, it's not my job to say, you know what, you shouldn't be an astronaut, or you know what, they're not hiring astronauts. My job is to be like, hey, you want to be an astronaut? Cool beans. Let's figure out how you can be an astronaut. Let's go to NASA. Let's see what their requirements look like. Let's see what they're hiring for. Let's see where they live. Let's see if the salary is right, right? My job is to make your dreams come true based on what you tell me, right? So you give me information, I call it input in. That's how I'll give you information. It should be input, output, right? Then they should get wonderful, amazing output, right? If you tell me, hey, I want to be a teacher and make $50,000 in English, my job is to help you find a place in the country that you want to live where you can make $50,000 as an English teacher, right? It sounds pretty simple when I break it down, but that's because I have years of experience and I've done this for a lot of people, right? But when you're in this space, when I was in this space, it wasn't that simple. All I knew is that my job sucked and I wanted to leave. And not only did I want to leave, I didn't want to leave for just another job. I wanted to leave for an amazing career. I wanted to have amazing opportunities. I wanted to have really, really cool experiences, right? Like that's really what I wanted. But that's not what I said, but that's how I felt. So when I finally was able to, spread my wings and get a really cool job at Mercedes-Benz or live in Silicon Valley or, have really fun times in Los Angeles when I was working, it was because I had a plan for what I wanted to do and how I wanted to get there, but I didn't do it by myself. And I think that's what a lot of people struggle with, is that you aren't necessarily taught, or we weren't necessarily, at least I wasn't, I'll say me, I wasn't necessarily taught to go ask for help in my career, because when I did, all they would do was give me like Myers-Briggs test, or they would, give me a personality test and say, hey, go take this, and like that was it. Or they look at my resume, but nothing would happen, right? That is not what I do, okay? I don't give you guys quizzes and tests unless you want them, right? Because that's not really what I found to work for me or people that I work with. We need strategies, we need plans, we need real life work things. We need part marketing, which is what I do, and part HR, which is definitely what I do, right? We need to know how to get things done, right? So if this is you, if this message is speaking to you or resonating with you, and it's time to move on, but you don't know how, then I invite you to apply for what I call a career breakthrough strategy session with me, okay? And what that is just a place and time where we have a conversation and have a chat to see how can I help you move forward with your career. It's really that simple. What I do ask and require people to do is fill out a questionnaire. So if this applies to you, you can go to right now, if you have time, if you're free, if you're ready for your career right now, go to www.workwithashley-.com. I'll put the link in the comment section and fill out the questionnaire. Once you fill out the questionnaire, I'll get notified, and then we can have a time to schedule so we can have a chat, so we can help you move on to your next move. I want your next move really to be your best move. And this message isn't like resonating with you, like, hey, Ashley, I'm totally cool, I don't need any help. That's amazing. That is perfect. Then you can feel free to share this information on your page or someone that you know is struggling, because I have to be honest, when I was struggling in my career, I knew other people were struggling, but I knew other people were struggling, but I just felt alone, right? And that is my goal in terms of having conversations and sharing information with you guys, is I want you guys to know that like you're not alone. The thoughts, the fatigue, the tiredness, the frustration, the sometimes almost depression. At least for me, I was depressed because, I was unemployed for, some of you may not know, but I was unemployed for a while on a couple of different occasions, right? It's all natural. It's our part. It's natural. It's part of the journey for many people, but we don't publicly talk about it. And that's why I share my story, so we can publicly talk about these things that people privately deal with, but they're ashamed to talk about. They're ashamed to really mention to their friends. They're ashamed to really have this conversation on a larger scale. So if you know of someone that could benefit from this, feel free to, share this video with them. Feel free to put their name in the comment section. If you don't want to embarrass them, go ahead and slide into the DM and say, hey, this is amazing career branding expert, Ashley Dash, who can possibly help. Let's have an open conversation and dialogue so that we can all be great together, right? Like that is the goal. I want everyone's next move to be their best move, because I know that dream jobs exist, and I know that more than one dream job exists for the same person, right? So just because you had a dream job before doesn't mean you can't have another one. Like, who says that you only get one dream job in your life? That is not the case, right? I personally have had more than one dream job, and we'll share about that soon, what the other jobs have been. But I know that you deserve more. You should be paid more. You should be excited and happy at work. And if I'm your person, I would love to be the person to help you be excited about life, right? Because I know a big part of work is life, right? Because really that's why we go to work. We go to work so that we can provide for life, so we can have wonderful experiences, so we can have time with our family, or significant others or friends. Like, we work so that we can have joy and be happy. And I don't want this part of your life to not be joyful, to not be happy, to not be filled with all the amazing things that God has for you, which includes a lot of money, right? Once you're paid for your experience and your skills, okay? So Again, this is Ashley Dash, your career branding expert. I would love to help you. So feel free to go to www.workwithashleydash.com, right? Fill out a questionnaire to apply for a complimentary career breakthrough strategy session. And let's have a chat. Let's have a conversation. Let's see how we can make your next move your best move, okay? Until next time, this is Ashley Dash, your favorite career branding expert. Have a great day. Bye-bye. Well, I'm trying to leave you guys, but it won't let me. All right, guys, bye.